So, good evening, friends. So, I hope I am audible to you all, and we are going to discuss the paper, which is nothing but the first test paper which we held around a week before for the CGPSC Court Manager examination, and this will be useful for all CGPSC mains candidates also, as well as for the UPSC candidates also, because the section 1 relates to the polity, constitution, law, legal sections, etc. So I will basically discuss a few things with you. In examinations like CGPSC, when it is of 2 marker, 4 markers, 8 markers, 10 markers, and 15 markers kind of questions, we need to have a particular dynamic kind of answer writing skills, where we can give the facts also on 2 and 4 markers. We can give better definitions along with examples, etc. When it comes to polity and the constitution, we must be able to quote and mention the relevant case laws and articles of the Indian Constitution, etc. So, without any delay, I will start this particular session with you guys. And we have already so far covered 3 tests. The 4th test also we organized yesterday for CGPSC Court Manager examination, and then for the CGPSC prelims we have already announced a test series for mains. So when it comes to the CGPSC mains aspect, writing aspect, let us consider which points needs to be taken into consideration. So while analyzing the full test section of this polity and the legal system for CGPSC Court Manager mains examinations, around 15 answer sheets we went through. So I once again wanted to make a live session upon this topic, so that we can continue discussing the paper test paper 1, 2, and 3 also, and maybe we will do it tonight itself, so that the other tests can be organized. So since we have seen the result of CGPSC prelims also just 3 days ago, and we are left with hardly 1.5 months time for the CGPSC mains as well. So this I thought will be useful for those aspirants who are going to appear for the CGPSC mains 2026 also, along with the CGPSC Court Manager examination. So, this particular session is not just about any content discussion. I have already been discussing and providing the evaluated answers to all of you, and we are having one-to-one discussions also. But this particular session is about how to write a better answer. So let me write few points here before we discuss. This session is about how we write answers as such. Okay. The other part is that how to maximize the marks within word limits. Okay. How to maximize marks within word limit, and also within time limit. These two aspects bears importance. And also when it comes to polity and the constitution, like subject, law like subject, how to add value through articles, cases, case laws, like for example we know different cases. For example, the case 1 and the Bharati judgment when it comes to basic structure doctrines and structure, also articles, cases and structures. We need to know these particular aspects. Okay. So how to add values. The third part I wanted to write was adding values for बेटर मार्क्स. ठीक है, थ्रू आर्टिकल्स, केसेस, एग्जाम्पल्स and obviously the structuring of the question structure. So these three points I would like to discuss here along with the test paper. So let me see if we have a blank page kind of thing at the last. I don't find it here, so I will continue there only. Also I wanted to discuss few things. For example, for 2 markers, one concept or definition like lines are sufficient, 3-4 keywords etc. are sufficient. If they are asking for about 4 things, features, nature etc., then 3 to 4 keywords are sufficient along with one conceptual line. We need to see that when it comes to 2 markers, definition, 3-4 keywords, example etc. is sufficient. So what I observed since last 3-4 years and recently in this CGPSC court measurements also, that we are doing overwriting. So I would strictly like to remind you all about overwriting should be avoided. Sometimes what we think when the question is about 2 or 4 marks and we lack the crisp, concise definitions or features etc., we start writing and cross the word limits. So I particularly feel that when it comes to fetching marks, it is about the precision. Precision is equal to marks when it comes to 2 and 4 markers. So I hope you guys might have got, and later coming on the questions, these particular points shall become much clear to you guys. Okay. So for right now, you need to note these particular aspects into your mind. Okay. So this was about the 2 markers. Now let us discuss what is all required to gain marks in the 4 markers and others. So let us talk about the other sections as well. Okay, so that we can compare it when we come to discuss the answers. So when as far as the section B is concerned, here structure also, when it is about section B, कंटेंट से ज्यादा स्ट्रक्चर भी मैटर करता है. हियर स्ट्रक्चर मैटर्स It's not that your content will not matter, it will always matter, but we need to add articles, cases, examples. Definitely decoding of the question, no doubt, shall be of importance, and also institutions, etc., whenever needed. For example, when suppose it is a question about fundamental duties, we need to mention Article 51A, and then we can mention MC Mehta judgment, etc. ठीक है? When we shift to the next part, that is section C for 8 markers, and then D and onwards towards 10 and 15 markers, what will become gradually important is the shift from description to analysis. Okay, section C onwards, we switch to description format towards the analysis format. Definitely, there are few questions in CGPSC which being very much factual, ask about the note down what are the exceptions under section 8.2 of RTI Act, etc. kind of things where we need to write everything. But then also we need to have one liner, at least one liner intro, and then also a forward looking positive or problem solving kind of conclusions. So here the shift is from description to the analysis, and we need to have a particular structure, that is intro, body, and challenges, solutions, etc. Causes, challenges, solutions, and then this is the part I mentioned, and then conclusion. It depends upon the demand of the question, but definitely the intro and the conclusion part needs to be added when it comes to the 8 marker questions. So this is about the 8 marker questions. Okay. So I would request this video to be watched by all the aspirants of CGPSC Court Manager, regardless of the fact that you might not have joined our classes or test series or notes, and to other CGPSC or UPSC mains appearing candidates. 10, 15 and 20 markers may be the uh, like formats which we have in the UPSC, but right now when we move to section D, section D is the 10 marker questions. So what matters much importance here, let us know what will be the important factors here when we talk about 10 markers, 10 marker questions, which is in the section D part of the CGPSC mains examination. Now your answer must reflect maturity. Answers must reflect maturity. ठीक है, and then we need to add examples. Along with this, we can have real world applications, real world applied kind of examples, that is real world applications. And then also we need to suggest some kind of improvements, reforms, etc. So we need to give suggestion, reform, etc. This is what I personally feel will add value to your answers. So let us move forward and see what needs to be there in your answers when it comes to section E, that is 15 marker questions. So let us move to the 15 markers section E, the last part of CGPSC mains in general, based upon the trends. So section E, when it comes to the 15 markers, is the scoring zone. This is the scoring zone. Definitely in 15 markers also, the introduction or background along with examples and other things will make importance, but then we needs to provide the background, 3-4 examples or cases, constitutional principles, etc. So definitely here constitutional provisions needs to be mentioned. Each question when it comes to law or constitution, the relating principles along with the provisions has to be mentioned. Here I am not talking about just mentioning the article number. I am talking about the constitutional principles as well. Based on the demand of the question, we need to decode and open up our answers in such a way that it the question the commanding word or the overall answers expected within the question may be gauged by the evaluator. He should know, he should guess it that the question is much clear to the candidate, and then he has given a beautiful background while mentioning the constitutional principle or the demanding part of the question. And then here we need to have balanced conclusion as well. Always balanced conclusion is what is expected from the candidates when it comes to the 15 markers. And we need to think like a policy maker, a civil servant, a court manager, not like a student. You all have cleared the prelims, and now the maturity level should reflect when it comes to the 10 and 15 markers especially, and your analysis part, your answering manner will uh, like decide whether you have the maturity through the balanced conclusion like a policymakers or a civil servants, like a court manager, not just like a aspirant or student who is writing the mains without any preparation for the first time kind of thing. So here we need to think like an officer and not like a student. Also, while I write it, we as a student and officers are also part of the same society. So when we explore different aspects or dimensions like social dimension, economic dimension, cultural dimension, political dimensions, we need to think like civic citizens are social aspect also. ठीक है? So think like a civic citizen as well. So these two things I added, especially it makes very much importance for the CGPSC as well as for UPSC examination as well. We need to think like a civic citizen and a officer civil servant, like a court manager when it is about the court manager exams, like a deputy collector when it is about the CGPSC examination, etc. So this particular aspect will help us in writing a better answer and exploring different dimensions of the question as per the demand. Obviously, as per the demand of the questions, we can think from the social perspective, role of families, institutions, individuals, and institutions. So personal level interventions, group or community level interventions, society level interventions, and then institutional interventions as when it comes to the civil services, etc. We can have like this kind of imaginations while writing the 15 marker answers. So this is about the structure. If you follow this structure consistently, you will significantly improve your main score. This is my particular observation, since I have been evaluating answers since last 10 years. This is what I personally feel till now. So let us move forward and discuss this answers, model answers one by one, and finish it, make it in the crisp manner, not like theoretical ones, because you will definitely get model answers, and the questions are not so much difficult that we need to analyze and do everything to decode the demand, etc. So I will delete it all so that we can write anything when we need to, obviously. So let us see the first question, which is, I think this is quite visible to us all. Definitely, I am going to discuss each of these questions and aspects in the Hindi medium also, no doubt. So, let us come to the question. The first question is about the fundamental duty, and what is asked is the significance. So when like significance has been asked, we need to mention about the significance, not everything beyond the answer, expected answer. We do not need to mention the what are the fundamental duties, etc. We may have a particular like intro highlighting the relative article, and then 42nd Amendment of 1976, where it has been added based on the Swan Singh Committee. We can write it also, Swan Singh Committee. So the demand is to write the significance. Most of us many times confuse that if the question is about some particular aspect of the constitution, we start writing it. Like when it is asking the nature or features or significance of the preamble, many of the students, what do they generally do? They quote the entire preamble, you are not going to get marks on that approach. Definitely, you need to answer the question. We cannot beat around the bush. We need to answer the question as such, which is generally asked in the examination. We cannot continue doing this and that kind of thing and expect that we will get the answer. So we need to decode the commanding word. The commanding word here is, what is the commanding word? The commanding word here is we need to talk about the fundamental duties. It promotes the civic responsibilities and discipline. It strengthens national unity and integrity. It complements the fundamental rights under Part 3 of the Constitution. It guides the citizens towards constitutional morality. It also helps aid courts in the interpretation of the Constitution along with the constitutional assembly principles. Discussions. So we can also end by mentioning that they are not justiciable, but they are morally binding and bears much importance in our Indian constitutional scheme kind of thing. We can mention it like this. So, for example, let me see the other questions as well. So, for example, there is a question and we need to mention the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of India. Here, we need to mention different jurisdictions along with the articles. So, the jurisdiction is original jurisdiction, we already know, which is Article 131. And then appellate jurisdiction may be around 134. You need to check it out. And then Article 143 advisory jurisdiction is there. Read jurisdiction we can mention. Special leave petition we can mention. This ensures the constitutional supremacy as well. So this is the way we can continue when we start answering. Okay. So I would also do one thing that I would share the paper itself here and let us see. In the app directly. So I'll just take a few seconds. So you will see the paper and test. You can all access the paper, test paper and the classes etc. through our app, which is GS by Umesh. And right now I was going to open up the question paper itself, the original question paper, so that I would myself have the I could start with the right approach, covering the entire questions. So I see only one evaluation pending here, but no issues. We can continue, and I will give the model answer of the paper, because I thought the questions are a bit uh, different here. So I have got it like the test 1, section 1, page 15.3, and it is this one. So I'll take just a minute. It can be said. And let us see the original paper itself along with the model answers. Definitely, we will discuss few things. So I gave this particular test paper for court manager mains test as its first paper for law, constitution and legal systems for 100 markers. So the question is like, you know, define judicial activism. Right now, when we need to define judicial activism, we need to have crisp definition within 30 words. This is what makes importance. So you all can try. And then what is rule of law? Define writ of mandamus. Basic structure doctrine. What is? Means definition itself. Define separation of power. I have not included much dynamicity which may be included by CGPSC, like asking for the status, nature, significance, features, few aspects, etc. I have just given the definition as the definitions in the first test paper. Section B, when it comes to 4 markers, I was discussing explain importance of Article 14 in administrative justice, distinguish between original and appellate jurisdiction of High Court, explain the role of directive principles, role of directive principles, not just directive principles as such. What is PIL? Public interest litigation. And then I also asked the significance of legal aid in judicial administration. When it came to the 8 markers, we saw the questions like discuss the relationship between fundamental rights and directive principles, structure and administrative control of high courts over the subordinate judiciary, and then role of judiciary in maintaining federal balance, powers of executive in law implementation, role of police and the prosecution in judicial administration, and then importance of independence of judiciary in ensuring rule of law, importance, examining role of community participation in judicial administration, and then the section E 15 markers question included critically examine the judicial reforms in India with special reference to administrative efficiency and access to justice. The last but not the least question of 15 marker is delay in justice delivery undermines constitutional governance. Discuss with reference to judicial administration and the legal aid systems. So, let us see judicial activism. When it comes, we need to mention about the proactive role of judiciary in interpreting the laws and protecting constitutional values beyond their traditional jurisdiction. These particular aspects, until and unless you mention few of them, few of our students, they have mentioned about the PIL. Few of them mentioned like, when Supreme Court goes beyond its jurisdiction. No. Sometimes when it is suspected that judiciary is crossing the line, we call and consider is like, judicial overreach. Then also it is very hard to define the difference, the thin line between the activism and the overreach. But when it comes to the activism part, we need to mention the proactive role of the judiciary. And definitely when we will analyze and write this into multiple marker questions, we can also mention here value addition is expanded meaning of Article 21 in different cases. I have mentioned in the model, the Menka Gandhi judgment, enabled PIL jurisdictions doing away with the principle of locus standi, etc. So, court actively monitor the governance issues also through continuing mandamus. And then I have asked about the rule of law in the 2 markers. Rule of law is nothing but a concept of supremacy of law, a concept of limited government over the arbitrary power and the equality before law as propounded by A.V. Dicey. We need to mention Article 14, the reference of Article 14 as well. Legal and accountability of authorities are ensured, and we need to mention few contemporary link also, like it ensures the legality in administrative decisions and the digital governance reforms, etc. I have asked a question, definition of writ of mandamus. Definitely, it is a very easy question. Provisions like Article 32 and Article 226 need to be mentioned, and it is issued in governance lapses affecting public administration. We can write like this: it is to compel a public authority to perform its legal duty. So, next is what is basic structure doctrine. So, here also many of us have confused. So, I rather than discussing each questions and answers, because those of you who have already joined the test series, they have been doing, and we are doing the one-to-one discussion kind of things also, and others will definitely, when you need, you guys will join. This is just to throw a light that wherever you may be doing it, like self preparation or under the mentoring of any particular coaching institutions, these are few things which need to be noted down. And if you guys are already, you have not joined, and if you need feel to join the test series, decoding the questions, demand of the questions, or developing the skills, you can join us. There is not a delay. We already have 1.5 months left for the CGPSC mains, and a few of the aspirants in court manager are feeling that we have less time. We, dear friends, we have 19 days, 2 days here and 18 days there, 20 days for the examination. Just feel that when the CGPSC mains aspirants who have around 30 subjects with them are left with just 1.5 months, 3 days before their result have got declared. We need to cover only 4 sections, which you have already done during your studies. So there is not much days, and definitely we will cover our students. They will be able to revise the notes, do all the test series, one-to-one discussions, and excel with the our note sheet, which we are preparing in a very crisp manner. So definitely I would like to state regarding few aspects, like when the question is about importance of Article 14 in administrative justice, we need not to keep mentioning everything about the Article 14 itself. We need to give the importance as to how it is useful. It prevents the arbitrariness in executive action, fairness, judicial review, non-discrimination in governance, helpful in ensuring justice. It enables state towards positive discrimination for substantial affirmative action for substantive equality. Okay, we can mention few case laws, etc. also here. Yes. So it is a 8 marker question. Yes, section B 4 marker question. Then we can reduce a bit. So we need to distinguish between the original and appellate jurisdiction of the High Court. So it is a very easy question. Explain the role of DPSP in governance. So it guides the state for legislation, okay, to promote socio-economic justice also. So the role is welfare legislation framework, basis for legal aid, promoting equal distribution of resources, influencing judicial interpretations of fundamental rights as cited in the Minerva Mills 1980. So these are few roles of DPSPs. Definitely there are multiple roles we can quote. So there was one question on PIL. PIL, we need to mention the SP Gupta case. You can mention Justice P.N. Bhagwati, etc. Also R. Krishna Iyer. And then 1980s is got evolved, and it allows individuals or groups to seek judicial remedy for public welfare without direct personal interest. It does away with the locus standi principles. We need to mention it. It protects the marginalized groups, promotes administrative accountability, introduced in SP Gupta in 1980s. We can relevance is it is used in governance and environmental and the social litigations. There are n number of examples we can mention. So discuss the significance of legal aid. So what is legal aid? We need not to mention. We can mention the article. We can mention the legislation 87 Act. We can also mention few institutions like NALSA, SALSA, DALSA, etc. But not everything. We need to tell the significance as to how it is important. Okay. So let us come to the relationship part of fundamental rights and directive principles. We can mention the current status which evolved from Sankari Prasad and the Champakan S1 and Bharti till Minerva Mills, and what is the present status. The fundamental rights, especially Article 14, 19 and 21 prevails over DPSPs, but when it comes to Article 39 B and C of DPSPs, it prevails over Article 14 and 19. This is the current status of the fundamental rights and DPSPs, and they complement each other. They are not to conflict or compete with each other. This needs to be seen, and in my classes I have over and again told about this particular position. They strengthen each other, kind of thing. Okay. So fundamental rights ensure political democracy. DPSC promotes social and economic justice. The DPSPs guide welfare legislation and legal aid initiatives. This is one of the administrative relevance. Additional point I have mentioned in the model answer. So both complement each other in achieving the constitutional governance. This kind of conclusion we can give when it is 8 marker. Let us come and see some or one or two 10 and 15 markers also. So role of judiciary in maintaining federal balance. SR Bomai judgment. There are multiple judgments here. Judiciary acts as neutral arbiter, maintaining फेडरल इक्विलिब्रियम. ठीक है, फेडरलिज्म एसआर बोबई में फेडरल फीचर बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर का पार्ट बोला गया था. एंड देन इट रिजॉल्व्स इंटर स्टेट डिस्प्यूट्स एंड इंटरप्रेट्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस. ठीक है, so multiple provisions we can quote, articles also we can quote. Role of police in prosecution and judicial administration. It has been asked, like importance of independence of judiciary in ensuring rule of law. So first aspect is as to how we see the independence of judiciary. So you need to define these constitutional safeguards, security of tenure, Article 124 to 117, fixed service conditions, independent appointments, mechanisms where under the 3 judges cases, the collegium principle is valid and applied to ensure the primacy of the judiciary in the judicial appointments, doing away with the NJSC judgment, also going against the basic structure doctrine. So significance is that the independence of judiciary prevents executive arbitration, protects fundamental rights, ensures concept of limited governance and checks and balance, ensures fair trial, maintains separation of power with checks and balance, etc. So independent judicial independence is indispensable for effective enforcement of rule of law and constitutional governance. One question I have given, examine the role of community participation in judicial administration. Here we need to highlight about the Lok Adalat, about the legal awareness programs, mediation and ADR mechanisms, PIL and constitutional basis, etc. So community involvement strengthens the judicial efficiency and promote equitable justice delivery. One question is there to critically examine the judicial reforms in India with reference to administrative efficiency and access to justice. So you can try this question. And another 250 words, 200 words question of 15 marker is delay in justice delivery undermines constitutional governance. So we need to discuss it with reference to the judicial administration and legal aid systems. So let us see and try it out. So we need to mention the right to speedy trial, which is implicit under Article 21, as interpreted in Hussain Ara Atun judgment. Then different cases are there, impact is there, role of legal aid is there, legal service authorities which provide assistance to economically weaker sections, delays. In fact, we can mention about the pendencies itself, and then we also need to give issues and suggestions. So as to how we can do like what may be the suggestions and way forward. Digital platforms, e-Lok Adalats, which may improve the accessibility, reduce pendencies, role of legal service authorities, workload-based manpower planning, digital case tracking systems, strengthening the ADR mechanisms, and awareness programs for legal aid. So, a line of possible conclusion or way forward is reducing delays through administrative reform and accessible legal systems is vital for upholding the constitutional governance. So this is how we have tried to do when it came to the analysis and the model answer of the syllabus. So I feel you might have got the gist as to how we are proceeding when it comes to the discussion uh, of the questions. So let me also uh, try to see if we can give few other aspects. Otherwise, what will happen when we move right now towards the management, MIS, HRM, and IT part of the test and the classes, definitely there will be remarkable shift in the approach. Definitely when it is law and administration, constitution, polity and governance, we need to be a bit of thorough. Clarity in the principle is very much needed. Definitely it does not bear much uh, importance and weightage when it comes to CGPSC mains, but remember, you have only 50 marks in paper 3, but when it comes to essay, GS paper 7 and the interview, this collectively marks importance, and we need to prepare other papers with this kind of approach as well, like leave the language paper. Even in language paper, we get few questions right now in Hindi uh, and English and Chhattisgarhi as well. So for now, I would bid you goodbye and bye, and then we will also discuss these few things in Hindi, and then we will continue discussing uh, different aspects to with you guys as a gesture, as an extended cooperation from our team, from CGS Raipur team, for the help of the aspirants. So I would definitely recommend and request you guys to uh, subscribe this YouTube channel. Uh, Also for the entrepreneurship, startups, and uh, other aspects, education, research aspects, we are working under the CGS Raipur group. Those who are interested in this particular journey of entrepreneurship and a startup business growth, they can also subscribe to our channel, as we are starting uh, uh, different playlist in this particular YouTube channel only, especially for the aspiring and existing entrepreneurs and startups in Chhattisgarh. So that's all for right now. Uh, those of you who are interested to join or take our classes, to join our uh, notes or test series for CGPSC Code Manager mains examination and the CGPSC mains examinations. So without any fear, you can join it. Don't think that time is less. Uh, 20 days is much beyond uh, than what is needed, and with good crisp management of notes and answer writing practice, we can do well, covering entire part of syllabus in the next 10 to 15 days only. So thank you so much. This is Umesh Mailani from CGS Raipur. Thank you so much.